We respectfully request the Sangha great virtues for the sake of this assembly and all living beings. Please turn the wonderful Dharma wheel to teach and guide us how to end birth and death, leave suffering and attain bliss, and quickly realize non-birth. Cung kính đại đức tòng thinh, vì thứ pháp hội cấp nhật thiết chúng sanh, thịnh chuyên diệu pháp luân giao đạo ngã môn, như há liêu sanh thoát từ ly khổ đạp lạc, tất chứng vô sanh. Homage to the Blessed, Noble, and Perfectly Enlightened One. Nam mô Sadanto Suche Doye Erla Di San Miao San Puto Xie. Nam mô Tạc Đạc Tha Ta Toya Daya Allah De Tam Mia Tam Bồ Đà Tọa. The unsurpassed, profound, subtle, and wonderful Dharma in 100,000 million aeons is difficult to encounter. Now that I'm able to see and hear, I will receive and maintain it. I vow to fathom and thus come one's true and actual principles. Wu sheng 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 wei miao fa bai jian万劫难遭遇，我今见闻得受持，愿解如来真实义。O Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, Great Master Jing Liang, Great Master YongHua, all good monks and nuns, and all good knowing advisors of Emitofuo. 诸佛菩萨、精良大士、师父上人、各位出家人、各位善知识、Emitofuo. Chư Phật Bồ Tát kính thưa Thanh Lương Đại sư Hòa thượng Thiên Thoá, quý thầy cô và quý vị thiện tri thức ca Di Đà Phật. Hello everyone. Today we're here in Go Forest on the 10th of November 2023 to continue discussing the second door of the prologue to the Avatamsaka Sutra. We're right now on slide 632. Welcome to all of you. We are here, and these concepts here we've been covering in the last few weeks are very, very commonplace. So you need to know these important concepts. So it's a good thing, a good investment of your time, whether it's now, this lifetime, or in the future lifetimes. Okay, we've been learning about the teachings, how Buddhism was classified to various types of teachings. There are two great masters who were very influential. One was Master Jing Liang, who authored this particular prologue, and the other one is Xian Shou. Okay, so these are the two masters who were very influential in parsing out the Buddha's teachings, and it's very helpful to learn about them. So we've been learning about how these masters have been dividing out, classifying the Buddha's teaching into four types of teachings. So Master Chuta is the one here that divided them into, that's what we are learning about his approach Okay, and limitlessness, living being, completely receiving predictions of Bodhi and so forth.
无量诸众生悉受菩提记等。
Oh, hey, Shan Ying, welcome back. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. 633 commentary. Buddhas are very ambitious. They want to save all sorts of living beings, and they never stop. Okay, and their work is to directly benefit the limitless living beings. Okay, they don't think small like us, like make America great alone. Okay, they're thinking of make the universe great alone, great again. Okay, how's that? That's truly Buddhist. So the Buddhists are a little bit above the Democrats or the Republicans. All right, so don't talk to me about politics. I'm not going to be impressed. Okay, so it's limitless. This is the measuring stick, the yardstick for us. Okay, it shows how big your heart is. Now you're only worried about yourself, only worried about your family and friends. Here, Buddhas and Bodhisattvas worry about all living beings, the limitless living beings. And they're not content with the saving just Australians or Americans. They want to save all living beings, okay? And so that's why when Buddha became a Buddha himself, what did he do? He looked at all living beings. Excuse me. He doesn't stop at Indians. He was in India at the time. He said, well, let me look at Indians. No, he looked at all Indians and Chinese and Vietnamese and, Republicans. All right? And so he says, he looked at all living beings because that's what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to do something to help out all kinds of living beings. So that's why he looked at all living beings, and what did he say? And this is very, very important thing for us. And the Buddhists have been learning about this casually, as if, Buddha, that's what Buddha says. But this is about you as well. You, in your heart, you should be thinking like this as well. Don't be so small-minded. Okay? If Buddha does it, then in the future, eventually, we'll do it ourselves. This is why we talking about this. So what did Buddha do after he became a Buddha? He looked at all living beings, all kinds of living beings everywhere. Okay? Not just in the Saha world, also in all other worlds in the universe. And he said, strange indeed, strange indeed, strange indeed. Meaning that this is the kind of insight he had as a Buddha that he didn't have before. Okay? And so he says, wow, this is fascinating. I didn't know this. How's that? He's able to see a bigger picture. Okay? And for him to say strange is that before he didn't understand, now at the time when he became a Buddha, all of a sudden he said, wow, this is, I never knew this before. That's what's strange indeed. I was surprised by his own vision. All living beings have the thus come one's wisdom, virtue, and characteristics. So he looks at everyone, okay, and that's talk small. Look at everyone here, for example. He says, you have the Buddha's wisdom. You're just as wise as the Buddha. Sounds like a sales pitch, huh? You salespeople, oh, Master is such a good salesman. No, I'm not selling to you. Buddha is selling to you. Okay? He look and said, all of you have my wisdom. And Apple said, more? Really? That's too much. Okay? But he says, Buddhas don't lie. Wait. Usually they don't lie. But this one here is no audience. He's there speaking to himself. He says, wow, what did I find out? And this is sort of a Buddhist tradition where you become enlightened and you have, what is it? You use your wisdom to look and make a discovery, something you never knew, you didn't know before. So he says, all living beings have the same wisdom as I do. Okay? And same virtue as well. What's virtue? The heart is as good as my heart. Again, most of you say, really? I have so many bad thoughts, Shen Yun thoughts and everything. What happened to Shen Yun? Yeah? See? And you know, and the virtues are the thoughts, the virtuous thoughts, the virtuous deeds. Okay? We all have that. Okay? Buddha sees it in us. He sees it in women, sees it in children. He sees it in, you know, all sorts of living beings, dogs, cats, and so forth. Okay? And characteristics. Characteristics, meaning whatever the Buddha characteristics are, his body, we also have it as well. So meaning what? We are the same as the Buddha. Do you know different? It's you who don't believe. You who think I'm different from Buddhas. Anyone thinks that you're the same as the Buddha? Raise your hand. I rest my case. None of you thinks you're the same as the Buddha. Only Buddha sees that you are the same as the Buddha. Why? You believe or not? This is why you're not a Buddha yet. And this is the nature of Buddhist teaching. We talk to you about this, and then when you become a Buddhist, oh, Master YongHua told me already. I knew it. I already knew this. Okay? All right. So, fascinating thing. It's so casual because when the Master YongHua explained it in Chinese and to his disciples, it's like, you know, the Buddha said so and so and so, and so he kept on repeating this. But I'm pointing out to you that this is incredible wisdom. He sees it in us that we cannot see ourselves. We only see of ourselves as a limited, our limitations, our flaws, our weaknesses. But Buddha sees us as the same as he is. That's the difference between great wisdom and confusion. See, in other words, if you see yourself as different from Buddha's, you don't see yourself having his wisdom, his virtue, his characteristics, you have a lot of work to do. Okay, and next he says, and this is also very typical of Buddhist teaching. We tell you something not to berate you, not to put you down, not to make you feel more depressed. Anyone? Okay? But it's to point out of this problem of yours that, complete my sentence, that you do not dare look at. When you have a big problem of yours and you're stuck and you say, okay, so there's nothing I can do about it. Let me go do something else. Okay? Buddhas are different. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are different. They have a problem, they keep on looking at it, looking at it. It's called contemplation until they find a way to fix it. Non-stop. They don't look away. Okay? And so that's why Buddhas, when they say in the Buddhist teachings, when we tell you about, let's say, you have a problem, it's not to make ourselves feel superior at all. It's to test you. Are you taking it seriously or not? Are you rather sweep it under the rug and make it go away and forget about it, hoping it goes away? So in Buddhism, we tell you about your problems because there is a solution. There's a reason for it. In order for you to have a solution, you need to know what's the cause of your problem. And he says here, your problem is that you don't have my wisdom, my virtue, my characteristics yet. It's because of your false thinking and attachment that's why you don't certify to and realize them. Okay, so the problem we have, he says, is false thinking and attachment. False thinking, again, 妄想. The problem with the Chinese wording here is it's like a jargon, Buddhist jargon. False thinking is, can we simplify it? I don't know you're going to object to this. Too much thinking. You think too much. I call it TMT, thine all might. Okay? You think too much. You're so proud of your thinking. You're so smart. The more you learn, the more educated you become. You think and think and think and think more. And you don't realize that that's called false thinking in Buddhism. Meaning that, don't get me wrong, in Buddhism we're not saying you should not stop thinking. Okay? False thinking meaning that it's thinking when it's not necessary to think. Can we agree on that? It's a time for you to think, okay? And which is fine. We're supposed to think. But most of the time, like when you're driving, you're thinking and think and think and think. And that time is called false thinking. It's totally useless. You're simply draining your energy, draining yourself. That's why it's called false thinking. The thoughts that give you false results. When you attach these false things that your mind comes up with. It's interesting as we talk about false thinking. You know, Master XZ's grandma just passed away this week, last Monday, this past Monday. And our condolences to the families, to his families. And so I happened to drive up here on that day. So got here, and then my girls went to see the acupuncturist that I criticized. Master is very wishy-washy. Okay, don't take me seriously, please. And so after my girls came back from acupuncturist, then we went to visit the family. So I went there. I went to the house where the body is still there because they couldn't get them to take it away, some paperwork issues. I walk in there, I look at her eyes is open, very small eyes, not like Indian eyes. I love Indian eyes. Okay, so, but she's still, with no teeth. And so, I'm sorry, I know it's a time for mourning, we're not supposed to laugh about it, but since some of the families here, I thought I entertain them, get their minds off their grief a little. Okay, and you can go home, feel and experience grief again. It's okay. So it's kind of interesting. Did you get my car yet? How could you come with no car? Too slow, huh? Yeah. We're not meant to drive a red car. Darn it. Anyway, so I walked in the room, and she said, she sat there, she's lied there, and with eyes still open. And what's interesting is that the eye are so fixated. Is no suffering whatsoever. I was so impressed, because I heard that before she passed, that she had a lot of health issues, and then a week before she stopped eating. So when your body shuts down, it starts shutting down, so it doesn't need any more nutrition and so forth. So it has been a week. So the body is dying gradually. Okay, it's dying a slow death. Okay, and yet on the last breath, she appeared to be so calm about it. Okay, and so I said, "Wow, how interesting!" And like she's content, somewhat content. I said, "Okay." It's time to go, something like that, very manly kind of thing. It's time to go now. And that's like, go. These people attach to me so much. Okay. And then Master Z, of course, was there for an entire day reciting. Well, I don't know what he was reciting. Maybe the Buddha's name. We don't know, okay? But he was there, still reciting, and so the room is pretty peaceful. So I look at that and say, wow, how interesting, okay? And then we did a small ceremony that for her, and recited the Buddha's name and so forth. And then we left. And we started doing the 49-day thing. So I've been real busy. So today I looked at her again. Guess what? When I saw her last Monday, what struck me was that she was so calm, more or less like curious. So what's going to happen now? So now what? Sort of attitude. Today, when I looked at her, okay, while I was preparing for a lecture, this is half an hour ago, okay, look at her, and this woman here is so, I don't know, well, I should tell you this. She's happier than she was alive. I'm sorry, you guys couldn't keep her. So she's so peaceful and sort of, you remember when she passed, she said, so now what? It's not fear, it's curiosity. What's going to happen next? And now she's sort of like, I can't wait. I can't wait to go. So how much longer? More attitude. I'm telling you, so much pressure being me. It's so cool. So it's amazing how how things change, where now it is no more doubts. He says, I'm simply going to be comfortable here, waiting for when it's time for me to go. And she's kind of looking forward to it. It's so cool. You know, it's no more false thinking. Before it's like, so now what? Huh? Now it's like, let's go. Let's go. What are we waiting for? Let's go. And what impresses me is it's calm. I say, okay, I wait until it's time to go. So that's what I mean of false thinking. Okay? No more false thinking. Just waiting patiently to go. Okay? So we don't think, we don't have redundant thoughts, unnecessary thoughts, because they're called false thinking. They're useless. Okay? They're not helping your cause at all. Okay? And the false thinking, and he says false thinking and attachment. Okay? Why does he separate them? What's the difference between false thinking and attachment? Buddha's teaching is very precise. He does not waste any words. Nothing is in excess. So why do you separate false thinking? What's the difference between false thinking and attachment? Okay, Reishi. 2.
False thinking is something that arises maybe just once, but attachment is something that will keep arising in the mind.
Maybe. Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay. Well, since you give up. False thinking is basically a thought that pops up in your mind. Okay? That the nature of the thoughts arising in your mind will harass you. You're being moved. We're being played with. Nothing good about it. Difference is that people who do not allow thoughts to arise, versus us, where thoughts keep on arising. There's not much we can do about it. Okay, that's the difference. Okay, so false thinking is that we think unnecessarily, if you will. You put it in layman's term. It's just we think when we're not supposed to. How's that? Okay, and the false thinking is something that happened. Attachment is the cause of the false thinking. Okay, we think unnecessarily because underneath the thought there's an attachment. Every single thought has an attachment, if you will. Is that clear? So why did he simply say it because due to false thinking or due to attachment? But he put them both. He said both. Why? It's amazing. Master Hsuan talked about it over and over and over again for 50 years, and no one ever asked that. Buddha said it for a reason. Why? Why did he separate false thinking and from attachment, and vice versa, attachment from false thinking? Anyone? Why? Way. Yeah, I'm putting pressure on the Koreans. 为什么 ？Hey boy， 为什么 ？Yeah, why? Because you have to deal with both separately. If you want to not waste time, you have to deal with them separately. You have to deal with them simultaneously, if you will. You have to deal with false thinking because it's there. You have to deal with it, okay? And then there's a cause for it, okay? And then there's another attachment where it hasn't arisen yet. Is that clear? So the thought is the attachment that has arisen, that reared its ugly head. But there's also other attachments that hasn't surfaced yet, if you will. And you have to deal with that. You cannot ignore them. You can say, okay, I deal with this. But this is the one that you cannot see that will bring you trouble. At what time? After you die. Then you can't deal with them anymore. You understand? After you die, there's nothing you can do anymore. You sit there, you go into the vegetative state for 49 days, and the attachments will come and harass you. There's nothing you can do. It's very dangerous. That's why attachments have to be dealt with at that time, now and at that time. That's why Buddha is very compassionate. He does the 49-day thing. He reminds us to go to the temple and get the monks and nuns to help during that time because the false thinking will pop up because of the attachment that were not resolved yet. Is it clear now? Does it help? There's a reason for the Buddhas to recommend these courses of actions. Yes, 6.
Master, what's the proper way to deal with attachments?
How do you deal with attachments? You can make them your best friends. Okay? Or you can renounce them. Okay? Problem is that which one do we renounce? Which one you make us best friends? Which ones? I'm asking you. Buddha says, you think too much, that's why you don't have my wisdom, you don't have my virtue, you don't have my characteristics, okay? So we know, that's his reminder, thinking is not always beneficial, especially when we think when we're not supposed to think. Is that clear? That's a message to all of us. And then attachment is something that is the engine behind all these thoughts that keep on popping up in our heads. And so you have to learn to deal with it, okay? And therefore, which one do we address? And that's part of the Buddhist training, okay? This is the difference in the various approaches in the Buddhist schools and the Buddhist. Even in a Chan school, have a Chan sect has 5 different schools. Reduced to 5 now in China. In India, there were used to be 11, 12, and so forth. Yeah. And so the attachment is the way to deal with attachment is to see them. You cannot drop something you cannot see. And you see them, first of all, you see it's an attachment. Okay? For example, this couple here is very attached to their grandma. Okay? It's there. Okay? So that attachment there. How do you drop the attachment? How you deal with the attachment? Whatever it takes to let go of that attachment, let go of grandma. Okay? And so whatever reason that makes sense to you, for you to drop the attachment is what you need to do. But so it's not simply just attachments here, but to know which attachments you need to drop to continue to forge ahead. So I'm answering without answering. Is it clear? Okay. And so because of false thinking, so as a reminder that you think too much, cut it out. When you don't have to think, please cut it out. Okay? Enough is enough. And attachments, you have to recognize some attachments that are not good for you. Okay? And because of you think too much and your attachments that you do not certify to and realize the wisdom, your true wisdom, the Buddha wisdom that you have, you also have. Okay? And so again here, there's a separation between certify to and realize them. It's very important. Okay? Certify to, I know you don't know, so I'm not going to ask you, unless you want to tell me. 안녕하세요. You want to say anything? No? Okay. To certify to is Chen is actually to, let me give you an analogy between the difference between certify to and realize them. Okay? Chen is, this is the Chinese teaching is so precise. Chen is like, I give you an analogy. Chen is, it's like you ride an elevator. Okay? Ride elevator and go up. Okay? And then it stops. That's Chen. You can access the penthouse. Is that clear? You can access the revolving restaurant. Okay? So you get to the top. You get to this floor, that floor. Chen is to access. Realize is what? Is to step out and the two different things. It's a two-step, if you will. Like, Never mind. Okay? So it's a two-step thing. First, you have to be able to access it. Okay? If you don't have access, you cannot brag about it. Because remember, I don't know. Let me see. Like hotels. You cannot go into the big hotels now without the card there because you can go into the elevator and it doesn't allow you to punch a button and nothing happens. You punch and punch. You have to, I found out you have to flick the card thing, your room card thing for it to, the door to close and it goes. You see that? That's access. Does it make sense? So to certify too is to be able to access that floor. Okay? And realize is to be able to explore it. So certify to is membership, if you will. And realize is to participate, to take advantage of it. They're two different things totally. Okay? Meaning that to certify is meaning that you choose access. You stop here, stop here, stop here, go down here, go down to the P4. B4, I mean, basement 4 level. That's in Korea, they have all these high rises and underground parking. This is how they build the buildings. And therefore you have B1, B2, B3, B4, whatever, and you have floor up, the park inside. Okay? And so to certify too is to be able to access, okay? And to realize is to actually to be able to go into them, go inside. Okay? And so it's referring to your choice. Where do you want to access? Where do you want to spend time? Make sense? Okay, so Buddhas can choose, for example, when he was born, he can choose to certify to second dhyana when he was at the age of 6. Certified to second dhyana, access second dhyana, okay? And then he became older, he practiced, he reached the formless realm, samadhis and so forth, and up higher. So he certified to those levels. So then he became a Buddha. He certified the Buddhahood. Now, to realize Buddha is to actually function as a Buddha. Does it help? So the Buddhist teaching is very, very precise. You must first have access. People pay attention. You need to have access first. You cannot talk. Can you get there? You cultivate to give you access. Okay? To certify to. And then you realize is to actually take advantage of it. Now you have access. You have access to the Sky Pass salon there, waiting room there. Are you going to go there and take advantage of not? Okay? That's the idea. Okay? So certify is membership, access, and realize is to take advantage of it. Okay. Question from 4. Ladies first.
Thank you, Master. Is this the same as substance and use?
Similarly, but I'm presenting it from the perspective of cultivation. Okay? The reason we teach you is to give you, I'm glad you asked a question, the way we train you is, first of all, okay, help you build this elevator shaft. Okay? You have to build it yourself, your own elevator shaft. That's called certified too. And then you can realize them. You can go take advantage of it yourself. Go shopping. Now that you have, you can afford it. You can buy an airplane ticket and go to Paris and buy some perfume. Or online shopping. You're boring. God. It's the thrill of being there and taking it out and put it on you. You're so boring. Engineers are so boring. I can't take it. Prime membership. He's an Amazon. He's an Amazon advocate. Okay, you see that? So that's why I'm presenting it from the perspective of helping you build this elevator shaft for you to have access. And then when it's time, the proper time, you you go and take advantage of your access. That's to realize. Does it help? Okay, so not simply use and substance, it's more of a strategy for you. Okay, here's what happens. What's the typical process? This is from Master Hsuan Hua's approach. It's not anything. It's not something I invented at all. This is what his latest patriarch did. Master Hsuan Hua. He provided access. Okay, build an elevator shaft first. So we're doing that as well. DT. I have a 7 here, and then we go to DTT question.
Thank you, Master. So the only level that can be realized is the Buddhahood, or can you realize other samadhi levels?
Everywhere. You go and take advantage of it. Go take advantage of it, and so forth. It's kind of cool. Like, now you can afford to go to Michelin 3-star restaurant. That's to realize it.
Okay, thank you, Master.
Okay, before it's only street tacos. All right. So to realize is to fully utilize it. Okay. Yes, DTT.
Master, so when we have access, do we need more blessing to be able to realize?
Yes, you need blessings to be able to realize them. All right. Okay, so that's what the Buddha said. Okay, and Master Hsuan Hua then quoted. I'm back on slide 634 in the Shrangama Sutra. It says that when the mad mind stops, okay, that which is stopped is bodhi, is precisely bodhi. A translation that his disciples did, I don't like it. That stopping is bodhi. That stopping, what's stopping? Anyway, it's here is much. The thing is, the point I'm trying to stress to you is that when the mad mind stopped, so I stress when it stopped. Okay, you become enlightened. Enlightenment is that. Enlightenment is not flying. It's not, it's not seeing things. That's not enlightenment. That's not the big prize. We don't care. Okay, that will come naturally, eventually. All right. 635. In the separate, the teachings, the principles, and so forth are all separate. In the perfect, the teachings, the principles, and so forth are all perfect.
别则教理等皆别，圆则教理等皆圆。
Okay, what is he talking about? You remember the 4 different types of teachings? First the 3-store, separate teaching, and then a 3-store, and then connective teaching, and separate teaching, and then perfect teaching, the 4. It doesn't matter, you don't have to memorize them. But eventually you hear them often enough, you will. It's different, the 4 teachings. Okay? He's referring to the separate teaching, the teachings for the Bodhisattvas. Separate teachings are the time period where the Buddha focused on teaching people so that they become enlightened. Okay? And so this designed to teach bodhisattvas. Bodhisattvas teachings, okay? And so he says here in separate teaching, this is for bodhisattvas, for people to reach enlightenment. So you see, Buddha has a game plan, okay? They don't do things in a random way. Is that there's a game plan where they are very deliberate in teaching us. And so, for example, in a way, I'm no Buddha, but in a way, we started with ourselves with 42 section sutra, the bequeathing sutras, which, by the way, won a prize in Korea. Ding, 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 ding. "17 years too late." I needed that money back then. $800 of prize money, minus 100. And so during that, so we started with all that. So we laid the foundation and groundwork, and now we are ready to give you the ultimate teaching, the perfect teaching that he's talking about here. Okay. So the separate teaching, all the teachings are separated. They're different. Okay. Whereas in perfect teachings, all teachings are complete, total. Okay. One teaching contains all the others, and they're all intermingled, if you will. Okay? In a separate teaching, which is for very wise and advanced people, they still have to be separated. Perfect teaching is all interfused. Okay? So that's why it's called inconceivable. So far, so good? Okay. And that's all you need to know. And sometimes I find that Master Jing Liang is somewhat too scholarly, and Master YongHua can keep up with him. Master YongHua is incredibly scholarly too for someone who's only have an 8th grade education. You know, amazing. He finished 8th grade in China back then, a long time ago, which is equivalent to about 3rd grade nowadays. And yet he discusses profound principles. So, you know, it's a different world. Like here, you guys are serious, you know, everyone's serious, and then there's the group in the corner there where they have their own world, and they play, and they, you know, and they do the things, you know. Anyway, and so the separate teaching is need to be separated because people could not put their arms around it, whereas perfect teaching is what? We teach you not to try to put your arms around it. It's all the same, okay? That's all you have to remember, okay? All right? 637. Furthermore, these 4 teachings arise due to the 3 contemplations, because from the false one enters emptiness. The substance is divided into differences, and there are the first 2 teachings.
又此四教由3观起，从假入空，悉体异故，有出2教。
Okay, 638. So Master Huen was going to go through a lot of things here. Let me see. Yeah, we should have time to finish this. Okay. So, don't worry. Okay, let me warn you. This is more theoretical than I care to explain to you, or I pretend to try to understand. Okay, it's for discussion, for impressing others. Okay, it doesn't help in your practice. Okay, so he says the 3 contemplations, the 4 teachings, just for the reminder for you, just for your jargon, for your vocabulary, sake of enriching vocabulary. Store teaching is the first teaching. Second teaching, connective teaching. Remember? Separate teaching is for bodhisattvas. And perfect teaching is the ultimate teaching that has everything. It's no longer holding back. First, when he did the store teachings, it's because he realized that back then his first sermons are geared towards people who didn't know anything about Buddhism, who were very biased towards non-Buddhist teachings. So he had to come up with something that will pry them loose from the worldly thinking. So that's why it's called three store, because it says, let me tell you, I have something that's better than what you know. You got a lot more out of it, okay? Yourself, all right? So that's why it's called store teachings, okay? So with that, the students were so happy. They said, wow, there's nothing in the human realm in terms of knowledge or wisdom that can compare with this. Okay, it's that impressive. Okay, that's why it's a three-store teaching. And then they help become enlightened, small enlightenment. Okay, they have wisdom. And then after that, the people were able to continue to make progress. So for those group of people, the Buddha said, there's some connective teaching where you can move. I need to prepare you to move on. Okay, to move on. And let me elaborate more on what I did not tell you before. That's called connective teaching, because after this, there's something called separate teaching where actually you can become enlightened. So the Buddhist teaching is actually very, very methodical. If Buddha did it because it's necessary. Does it make sense? For him to bring his students to enlightenment, he needs to prepare them for store teaching, connective teaching, until he goes to the full enlightenment teaching. So it's not okay for Mahayana people to say, you Hinayana, therefore you no good. We ignore you. It doesn't work like that. It's all part of the big picture. Okay? It's only Hinayana people who don't have the big picture, who say that, we are Hinayana, we know everything already, because they weren't taught the bigger picture yet. Okay? So Mahayana, we embrace everything. We don't reject. Okay? And so there's a gradual development, methodical. Okay? There's a method to this. And so all this, okay, they arise because of the three contemplation of emptiness, contemplation of falseness, and contemplation of the middle way. Okay, and so what he's talking about here is rather subtle, rather scholarly. It doesn't matter. Okay, it's multi-layered. So I don't really want to go into this because it has so many different interpretations for different levels. Therefore, it's not that important. Okay, I feel that this is where the scholarly approach is not a good use of your time, of our time at all. Okay, it doesn't help. Anyway, so we as part, all you need to know is part of your training, part of your development, okay, is you have to eventually use the three contemplation. You contemplate things as empty, okay, and you contemplate falseness refers to you don't reject worldly things. You're not afraid of worldly things. Okay? You embrace them. You don't need to run away. You don't need to hide behind the four walls. That's for losers. People are weak. They cannot handle it. That's why they have to hide. Okay? You embrace it. You embrace the falseness. You contemplate falseness. And you contemplate middle way, which is the ultimate wisdom that you need to make happen. So there's a methodology behind this. Okay? That's all. That's the whole point. Okay? And another concept that's important for you to understand is the emptiness contemplation. When the low-level people, like the two vehicle, the two vehicle or the arhats and the practical Buddhas, and when they learn about contemplation and emptiness, they are able to let go of people, of things. For example, it means that they're no longer attached to worldly things, like what? Money, okay? Love. What else? Sienas. Okay, and so forth. So they're no longer attached to it. That's why, because everything is empty. That's the wisdom there. Empty meaning they don't attach to it. They don't attach meaning that no thought arises. That's why it's empty. Does it make sense? Emptiness means zero attachment, therefore zero thought, therefore empty. See the big picture now? Why are we doing all this? If you can let go of your attachment, then zero attachment. So far so good? Because you have zero attachment, no thought will arise. See, your wife asks you, what would you like to eat today? I say, oh, anything you like, honey. And you feel like cooking. Okay? I'm easy. Okay? So you don't ask. You see, if you have no attachment, you don't say, you don't expect your wife to give you kimchi tonight and soju tonight. Okay? Or you don't expect your husband to buy you a washer and dryer. This is very important in America. Okay? So you see that the relationship between attachment and thoughts arising. You see that? If you have zero attachment, then zero thought will arise. All right? So that's why it's called emptiness. So that's why if you have zero attachment, you have zero thoughts arising, therefore everything is zero, everything is empty. So that's called wisdom. Meaning that what? Let's put it bluntly. Your wife can no longer afflict you. No matter what she does. Not funny. Look at the women. Not that funny. So far, so good. See, man is called we free. Oh, never mind. It's more women than men, unfortunately. I'm going out on a limb here, taking a lot of chances. Okay. So that's what happens. The initial wisdom is that you are able to detach from people, from things. You don't demand for food, for alcohol, for cars, for houses, and so forth. And that's wisdom. You're free. Okay? But that's why it's called emptiness. They can drop it. They see this is empty, so they can drop it. Okay? Until Apple asks to offer another set for DTT. Then we think about it. Okay, never mind. Hint, hint. What happened to her? Oh yeah, she's still awake. Okay, so that's emptiness. However, this is a very important distinction for you. I want you to pay attention to, because you're going to have that problem. Because once you are able to let go, that thought of letting go right there is a problem. Because that's what these people think. They say, hey, she's empty. I can drop her. That thought, I can drop her, that's your problem. They had to go through that process. Okay? So therefore, there's still reasoning behind. They said, it's empty anyway, so I can drop her. Okay? That attachment here, she's empty. Okay? That attachment is called attachment to the knowledge that she's empty. See that? So that's why the Koreans, Sunims, they teach the nuns to go to the level where they see emptiness. So they can drop it so that they lead the home life. They don't teach you, they are not taught that dropping emptiness is a problem with itself. Now the Koreans are going, that's why we are still here. Serving the Sunims, because we are stuck to emptiness. And don't tell the Korean nuns. Yes, cuatro.
Is the problem here, there's this concept of she's empty and then there's attachment to it? Or is the problem that there's this thought before dropping? So if they can drop it, just drop it without thinking about, hey, she's emptying, so we can drop it. Is that beyond the attachment to Dharma?
Just between us, okay? Just between us. Don't tell the Chinese. Don't tell the Koreans. Okay? Don't tell the Vietnamese. Just between us, Americans. Wait. It's no American here. How shall we call ourselves? Okay. Let me put this way for you. It's a lot of words and concepts, but let me tell you what's really happened. Would you like to know? This is what really happens. And the scholars justify as attachment to the Dharma, attachment to emptiness, so forth. Actually, this is what happens. Would you like to know? No? No one wants to know? Yeah? When you get there, you're able to drop everything. Okay? You're able to drop money. So, what's $100? Forget it. That can erase $100 debt. If you really understand, you say, what $100 is it? Right? So it's empty anyway. Okay? And you erase your son. And you erase your husband. Okay? And I'm trying to scratch my Hitler mustache. And you're able to you drop everything. Whatever people throw at you, say, I don't care. It's okay. You mean to me, you yell at me, you scream at me, it's okay. Your words are empty anyway. Okay? Something happened when you're like that. It's incredibly blissful. It feels so nice. And as a result, these people are subconsciously attached to it. They say, I like this. Especially him, he says, now I look at my wife, I see how she's attached to everything. He's so proud of it. He says, oh, I'm so much better than my wife. I can drop it. You see that? So he's secretly very happy that she cannot drop it, he can drop it. Secretly. He would never admit it, okay? And because of that, he's constantly blissful and happy. And it's very, very addictive. And he says, oh, I like this. So, why do I need to again go to work? Why do I need again, because more money is not going to make me happy, and so forth. And so that's why they're attached to this concept of what they call, the scholars call the concept of emptiness. Well, actually, they're really attached to the state of bliss when they have no attachments. Everything falls off them. You throw anything at them, it falls off. Like the pasta that's cooked properly. I love to say it. Al dente spaghetti. Throw against the wall. Okay? It is so nice. Remember, it's wisdom because they're able to do that and they are superior people. But subconsciously, they're attached to it. They say, this is nice. Why do I have to, again, deal with this, all the garbage that's nonsense anyway? And that's why the scholars call it attachment to the Dharma, Dharma meaning attachment to emptiness. The concept of emptiness, they're attached to it. He's so attached to it. He's so smug now. Look at him. He's like, I'm so happy. I don't know why you're so afflicted. Donald Trump go to hell. I used to, be upset when they attack Donald Trump. Now he says, I don't give a damn. You got that? And so they're secretly very happy, so free inside. Okay? So that's what they call partial to existence. Okay? It's a jargon thing. Next. I need to get going, guys. We cannot gossip all night, okay? And then they learn about the higher level of wisdom of the bodhisattvas. And they become enlightened by knowing the emptiness of the Dharma, meaning that they are no longer attached to this bliss from detaching. How? How? Because there is a trade-off. Shh, this is insider information, okay? Only for Americans. Okay? There's a trade-off where they are willing to relinquish the bliss from detached from everything and engaging with their wives. Okay? And for what purpose? Not for themselves. Before, the low-level people, they only do it for themselves. They only see themselves. Now they're seeing the wives. who are so endearing to them. They say, I'm happy, but my wife is not. Look at her. How unhappy she is. She takes everything so seriously. Okay? So I've got to figure out a way to help her. And because of that, they're discovering that most of the time it's a lot of suffering because the wives are impossible. But occasionally, they'll be at peace where the bliss here on this side, when you care for others, is far greater than the bliss on this side, only caring for yourself. Deeper, stronger, better. See, they're wise people. They're not stupid. They're not doing it to take a loss because there's gain, some serious gains. So people like him who only cares for himself and not the wives and so forth, okay? The bliss level is this. The people who actually prefer to suffer for their wives and their children and so forth, they're suffering most of the time, okay? But occasionally, their enter bliss is far better than here. That's the reward. So the difference is that over here, they intentionally go back, we call go back to the mud and get themselves dirty and suffer along with their wives, okay? And because of that, the wives love them more. And therefore the bliss is better, if you will. I think. What do I know about wife loving you? Be careful, I'm a salesman. Is it good? Okay. And so that's why scholarly, in terms of, they put it, they know emptiness people, also Dharma, meaning that Dharma is actually capital, okay? But they're not, what happened? Okay? And they are able to let go, but they still fall to the side emptiness. Okay, don't worry about it. Okay, in the middle way, it's the third contemplation. Middle way is that emptiness and existence is all at the same time. All right. See, they talk a lot. You know, the Master YongHua to explain a lot, but. That's important because them disciples back then couldn't understand what he was talking about. I think he explained this very early on. I think Heng Shu was bowing and he was doing the Avatamsaka when Master YongHua was explaining it. So it's early 70s. Okay. And none of them at the level of high enough for him to go into deeper explanation of the Avatamsaka back then. Okay, and so 640, the low level people we call the two vehicles practitioners. They distinguish between emptiness and existence. Okay. Bodhisattvas, these are concepts for you, it's worthwhile for you to be exposed to. Know the existence does not necessarily exist. Emptiness is not necessarily empty, okay? That's wisdom right there, okay? And, but they haven't got to ultimate true emptiness or wonderful existence, which intermingled. Okay? 641. And only Buddha understands that. And so the concept here is, for all practical purposes, we know it's empty, you can drop it, but to simplify it for you, I can drop it, for example. You can drop it, okay, because you know it's empty. Anytime. But you still go for it, meaning that you know that the hospital is empty. Because eventually, the Israelis will bomb it to death. Okay? So eventually it will be empty. Okay? It's not a political statement, it's just an example. Okay? Or the Sudanese separatists will destroy it. Okay? But you know it's empty. It doesn't matter, it's empty. But you still build it in order to benefit others. Is that clear? Okay? So you yourself are not attached to it, but you still do it to help others because it's important to others. So for you, it's not important, but it's important for you to help others because it's important to them. Does it make sense? So you forget about yourself. You act stupid like them. You go and you compete, and you make money like Warren Buffett. He has so much wisdom, he still sits there every day trying to make more money. Okay? So that's why they're doing it. They're doing it because it's for the sake of others that they're doing it, not for themselves. So far, so good? So that's why in the middle way, the Buddha can look at you and say, you are the same as me, meaning that he can see us as being confused, at the same time he sees us have the Buddha nature inside of that confusion as well, at the same time. It's not separate. Okay? Questions and comments? Okay, let me try it. And then 643. Sorry, 642. Sorry, and so you see, in the ultimate knowledge, ultimate wisdom for you is that true emptiness is wonderful existence, and a wonderful existence is true emptiness. Meaning that in the absolute sense of emptiness, okay, inside it there's wonderful existence. Meaning that you know it's empty, but you still do it. Okay? You're not attached to it, but you still pursue it. Because you can drop it anytime. When it's time for you to drop it, you drop it. Whereas confused people, when it's time to drop it, they can't. So far, so good? So that's how you can live with others in harmony. You can be with them. Whereas the Arhats or the Hinayana people would say, you are too much trouble, you are so ikkiya, stay away from me. Okay? And so that's why form itself is emptiness, empty itself is form. So that's the wisdom of the perfect teaching. Okay? You embrace everything. And therefore you can choose, in 643, you can choose to detach it or embrace it, depending on what conditions call for. You're not attached to either. You're not attached to dropping, you're not attached to grasping either. So you can do both when it's appropriate. Is that clear? 644. Okay, final slide today. 644. It says, from the false one enters emptiness, the substance divides the differences. Basically, because initially they're able to discover emptiness, and that's why they see the differences in the first two teachings, the low-level teachings of the Arhats, the three stores, or the connective teaching. That's all. Okay? That's all I want to emphasize. Just here, we're just gabbing, we're just gossiping. Okay? I just want you to hear the concepts and the language and the jargon so that it will sink in down the road eventually, naturally. Yes, question?
There's a question from Brady. How
Yeah.
do we go about our day-to-day life without some attachment?
If it bothers you, then you should try to drop it. And if you can't drop it, that's when you should try to get some help. If it doesn't bother you, enjoy it. When you enjoy it too much, you should drop it. Okay? Yeah. It's no hard and fast rule. You should meditate, and the meditation here would help you see emptiness, Brady, and eventually, when you maximize your emptiness attainment, then you'll be taught to change later. But for you, typically right now, just try to drop as much as you can. Okay, especially the things that are negative, drop them. You don't need a reason. You know there's some attachment there, just drop it. No reason needed. Okay? All right, next time we start from 6:45. Thank you, everyone.